No, Shabbos. The Sifra says on Rashi, but he's down about what's it going to be a Rashlabor, why is he going to be a Shaftlabor, why he put in these Lashonis, is that the Rebbeinu said, I'm giving you a mitzvah that the Shkusa will be zoichet to sit and occupy the Lord, not just let you come in. So it's like a schus. And what's the mitzvah? The mitzvah is bikur. Shaila is what was special about bikur. So I think that the special with bikurim is similar to matnas aniyim. It's not your land. What's bikurim? Bikurim is you take the first payers, right, of what you grow, and you actually tie something around it. You go out in the field, you look around. This one looks is going to ripen first. You put a little thread on it. I mean, the thing that made it like a stuff, right? And they got to the description of the parade to Yerushalayim when they brought the Bikurim. Okay, with all a tremendous thing. But what will you do with Bikurim? You really bothers you giving away this stuff? I'm telling you, I buy, let's say I like peaches, right? New season starts somewhere about, who knows where, February, you'll get some peaches already. You'll buy $5 a pound, right? Oh, I'm going to have a peach. Potato. Who likes this peach? That's little tam. What do you call it? The middle of the summer, it's 39 cents a pound. Then you can buy the peach and then you can enjoy it. About $5 a pound, it's worthless. So why would anybody want this fruit? So I imagine it's like you go into a store. You see now, it used to be $1 on the wall. Now it's 20s. Right? You got $20 on the wall. This is my first $20 I made in the business. Right? It has no chivas to anybody except to him. Now, to anybody else, it's a $20 bill. That's all it is. But to me, this is the first $20 bill I made in the business. Then it goes on a wall like the thing, and I can spend it. So the first fruit is only worth it to someone who owns the land. This is my first fruit, this is the fruit of my work. And this is something to brag about. But what happens if it's not my land? It's God's land. It's not my land. What are you taking credit for? So I want you to give that away to the coin. In other words, the only thing it's kosher is only to you, to no one else. Everyone else doesn't taste good. All of us, I'm going to do it because to you it does taste good. Now you got to give it away. And that is what made you zoichet with you. Zoichet, if you understand that Eretz Yisrael is not yours, then you can have it. And that's really what Matzanim is, and that's what Shemitah Yovel is. I mean, basically, that was, I decree what you do with the land, not you make up what you do with the land. It's not going to be, it's not yours. And B'Mitzkama and B'Mitzira, we learned about the difference that the baby can even have Dalramis, Vishus Chaveroi, for Papaya, what do you call it, Matnas Aniyim, why is Matnas Aniyim between Shvuas and what do you call it, in Emma. So Rashi says, he misquotes over there, but you see, it's too soft. If I really recognize it's not mine, if I recognize just doing the mitzvah, it's Kayim, and he brought korbanos. But not in the game for now, we'll get there. Okay. So that's what the Bible Bikurim is. Okay. And God, the Gemara learns from here, rich people get richer and poor people get poorer, is from Bikurim. Why? Because rich people used to bring the Bikurim in gold and silver plates. So when they gave the Bikurim, they took the plates back. Right? And poor people brought with straw plates. Right? So you left the straw plate already. So of course the poor man cost him an extra straw plate, which it didn't cost the rich guy. So it's the point there. So therefore you have rich kids. And I remember we used to bring a raya for that for suits years ago when I was in yeshiva. There used to be guys in yeshiva that could afford, a normal suit was around $50 that time. And a real choshva suit was $100. That the guy who bought a $100 suit is not pshat, he got two suits. That this suit lasts two. The $100 suit lasted three suits left. That's the point. So therefore he gains none of that. So he's richer by buying that. The poor guy gets $50 and then he wears it out in a little time. He puts another $50 and he wears that out. And it costs him the $100 and he has nothing for it at the end. But the guy who paid $100 for the suit, he has it even after the whole year. That's the point. So it's an eminence of fact that rich people get richer and poor people get poorer. That's a fact. And I think because simply of this type how you spend money. Then it says over here, one of the things he has to say is Harav Reuven Feinstein. So Shiva asked, it's engaged to the Savo, that there were many years between Aram, over 30-something years, between leaving what's his name, Laban, when coming to Laban, and going down to Mitzrayim. So why does he say Harav Reuven Feinstein Vayerev Mitzrayim? He didn't go down because of Laban. So you learn that what gave him the confidence to go to Mitzrayim. In other words, when we take a look in Bereshis, in Vayigash. So I think it's Vayigash. What's it? No, not Vayigash. Vayigash, like here. That's what I wanted to say already. Okay. Yeah, what gives Yankov the confidence to go down to Mitzrayim was the fact that Harav Reuven Feinstein, and I was able to withstand the influence of Laban, so I'm not worried about the influence of Laban. Where do we see that? You see, Vayisa Yisrael v'chol Shaloi, the Yisrael, the Loshe Yisrael, is the strong name of Yaakov, right? And so it's Vayisa Yisrael v'chol Shaloi, what he called, and the Ben Shem came to Yisrael, the Maras HaLayla, and he said to him, Yaakov, Yaakov. I didn't say to him the strong name, he said the weak name. And he says, Anoichi, you're going down to Mitzrayim and you're staying there, fella. You're not coming back. And you're going to die there. Right? So by Yochum, Yaakov, who woke up? Yaakov woke up, not Yisrael anymore. And he went up, and by Yisrael b'nei Yisrael, it's Yaakov Aviyam. B'nei Yisrael was still b'nei Yisrael. They were still the sons of the strong one, because they didn't know about the dream. So they had that confidence, we're coming in, we're going to go back, and this and that. But Yaakov, he was a chicken really. But that's what gave him the confidence. Without that, he wouldn't have gone in the first place. He wouldn't know what the sakon is going to be. And obviously you'll say, well, what do you mean we became and then we had become? I guess, simply as the Tata, 4/5 of Klal Yisrael are going to die out. I don't think you're going to go down there willingly to such a place. And the thing that that we can't, half the world is going to become bottled. It's something, you have a few Yechidim that we find religious. The rest of them, we went to the Treif Medina, became Treif. So you're not happy to let them go there. So it's a different thing altogether. So that's what the kind of was. Okay. Then it brings down of Vidu Maisa. So Rosh Hashiva asked the Kasha, why is it called Vidu Maisa? Vidu is supposed to say Chatosi Avisu Pashaiti. That's what Vidu means. Here you're saying Osishi Kacholash Etzvison. I did everything that you asked me to do. And now I'm asking you to go and do what I have to do. So he said shots like this, that the biggest, when you say Chosishi Kacholash Etzvisoni, that's the biggest vidu a person can say on himself. When he contemplates what he really did, can you say Chosishi Kacholash Etzvisoni? You say I davened like I was supposed to daven this morning. You say I put on tefillin the way you want me to put on tefillin. I was nizar in the things the way you want me to. You can't say that. So if you can say it, so a person means that he thought through all his actions and he's able to first come to understand that. That's what the point, what's called Vidu Maisa. Even though it's saying Osisi Choshet Tzvisoni, because that makes you think of what you really did. And therefore, that's the whole point of Vidu, is that you think about your Cheshman Nefesh. Okay, now we're going to get to the Yisod of our Emunah. Okay. We have the contract, Shlishi is the contract between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What I mean, the contract, why we're from a Yidden? What makes us from? And what obligation does God have to us? So forth. So we'll see that the contract is not a fair one. It's not fair one, wrong thing. We did not agree to what God wanted. Let's put it that way. So it's a two-sided thing. So what did we do? It says, as Hashem Hemarta Hayim, Liyos L'chol Elokim. Today you chose God to be your God. What does that mean? L'leches b'drochav, to go in His ways, Lishmor chukov mitzvos u'mishpotov, and to learn His Torah, because we learned that the Mischanon, that the word Shmira means to learn, L'shmor b'kolim, to listen to the Nevi'im. Hashem Himilcha, and God chose you, Hayom liyos l'olam zgula, for you to be His nation, L'kasher diber lo, He told you, V'lishma kol mitzvosov, and to learn all of His mitzvahs. I didn't see that we committed ourselves to all His mitzvahs. We only committed ourselves to His mitzvahs, not to all His mitzvahs. Right? What's the difference? And he says, and what will God do? He'll put us on top of all the nations. Okay? Let's see the differences between the two. So you go to Shishi, or just before Shishi, and you'll see the difference between Kol Mitzvosov and Mitzvosov. Right? The first 6 psukim before Shishi, right after Shishi, the first 6 psukim, no, the first 6 before Shishi, it's right after the Klolos, is it's Kol Mitzvosov, right? What's going to be? I'll make you top of the whole world. And then he goes through whatever else to do. Doesn't have to write too much. You go top notch, so you be the top. So no big money. Then he comes to Shishi. Yitan Hashem Siyevecha Kamalecha, this and that. Yikimcha Shelam Kodesh. It all sounds very good. Kashanish Balach. Why? Ki Sishma es mitzvahs Hashem L'kecha Balach B'Locha. Because God, you listen to His mitzvahs, you went in His way. Not kol mitzvahs. And they will see, and therefore, what will God do? He'll sit for Elyon. No, Nesantcha Hashem L'Roish V'L'Zonav. You'll be a head, not a tail. But there's a lot of heads. I'm not the only head. I'm not Sitra Elyon, I'll call Amen. I'm not on the bottom. I'm on top. Okay, so there's a big difference between being Elyon and not Elyon. Now, why would that be? Now, I would assume that the reason that they make you Elyon is because we're in Golos, or whatever it is, or the world is supposed to learn from us. We're a light unto the nations, whatever they call us, right? So they're supposed to look at us and say, look at the way they live, look how they live, and whatever it is there. Maybe it pays to be here. Maybe we should do also what they do. Well, that would be only if you see perfection. If you saw the brochad, the pshat is that nothing could touch you. So then I could say, oh, they do a good job, right? But what happens if they die anyway? Except they don't die as much, in as much, it's as fast as, so on. So I remember I told this once to the Hatzalah guys, which I love there. Yes, them, what's their yichus? I'm pro Hatzalah, and I'm also on their board, so I'm not knocking them. But I'm saying, but yes, what's the yichus? We get there in 5 minutes, and the fire department gets there in a half hour. So we save the people 25 minutes earlier. Sounds good, right? But all of a sudden I see people die by Hatzalah too. You got to the hospital and you still died. Or you didn't even get to the hospital in time. And then I get to be one of these phonies. And that guy says, you know, the Rebbeinu Shalom, which goes on me, I should die when I get to the hospital, right? So if I went with the fire department, I get the half hour later, so I lived another half hour. With you, I get the half hour earlier, so I die a half hour faster. I mean, what kind of business is that? You know, all of a sudden, who wants to Hatzalah? Right? Okay. I can't tell you this is really the way they think, but the appeals of Hatzalah are definitely not like they used to be. When I used to say, Abbas HaTorah will be out there when you can get an appeal from the yeshiva as much as you get an appeal for Hatzalah. Then you'll know that we made it. That Torah is important. As long as they have. Now you can, there's such things, by the way. So maybe it doesn't prove anything. Okay. And that, so therefore, to put your Elyon doesn't mean any difference. It will only be Rosh. I see it's a good point, it's a good opinion, but I don't see anything great about it. So to Elyon, you have to have kol mitzvahs. So we'll talk about that more. And this really started in Parshas the chilik of the Lashonis of kol and Slam without kol. And you'll see all the way, there's always bigger milas when they do kol mitzvahs. And you'll ask me, what's the difference? I don't understand. Translating the words means the same to me. Do his mitzvahs and do all his mitzvahs. I would assume it meant that when you say do his mitzvahs, it means I'm not doing any averis. I would assume it meant the same thing. So what do you mean it doesn't mean the same thing? So I can give this in midas better than I can in actual a mitzvah. What do I mean, the midos? The Gemara says there are 4 mitzvahs a Yid has to be especially careful in because the Rebbeinu Shalom does them. What are they? Malbish HaOmim, because he clothed Adam Chava. Vakechela, because he was Vakechela to Avram Avinu. And Nachamovo, he was Nachamovo Yitzchok. And he was Mikava Mesim, Moshe Rabbeinu. So those 4 mitzvahs, You got to do. And you see, Takakwa, you saw those things, we do have people very interested in those things. Okay, sounds good. Then there's another Gemara, Mahu Rachum Afatu Rachum, which is like a general rule. You got to have pity. Okay, the Gabeshim has pity. Now, I would think that if I'm a person who has pity, and I saw a person that's naked, I would dress him. And automatically, that's what pity means. I mean, I would react to the pity. Right. So why is it necessary to give me the 4 mitzvahs? Just tell me, Ma'u Racham Ataracham. Because there's a difference. When do you react if you have pity? When you see it. So until you see a naked person, you have no Rachmanis on having dressed. But if I'm Oisik in the Inyan of Malbish Haromim, I make sure there is no person that's naked. So the difference between proactive and reactive. If you're proactive is when you do kol mitzvahs. When I'm just doing mitzvahs, then I'm reactive. Who was a mushal for this? I think Nochamish Gamzu was a mushal for this. What's the mitzvah with Nochamish Gamzu? According to the Marsha, mashma that his Talmidim didn't really think he was such a big tzaddik. I mean, even though he's Muhammad Benisim and all this good stories about him, but hey, a guy has no arms and no legs and he's blind and he has boils all over his body, he doesn't sound to me like a real tzaddik. Right? So they didn't give. Then he came one time, the house is falling down. So they said, we'll take you out of the house because the house is falling down. And so it says, take out all the stuff first. As long as I'm in the house won't fall down. He stays in the house. They clean out all the stuff for him. Then they tow him out. And the second they take him out of the house caves in. So now they see he's a tzaddik gomer. So they asked him a question, then what happened to you? How come you have no hands and no feet? It doesn't make sense if you're tzaddik gomer. So he says because once he came home, and a poor guy came over to him, or a guy who was hungry came over to him, and asked him for food. By the time he got him the food, he died. So therefore his feet didn't run fast enough, his hands did this, his eyes couldn't see his sour, whatever it is. And he took about it. So he said, that's so much. So he said, if not, I will have to suffer more in the end of it. Don't make any sense. I'm sure he's a tzaddik we're talking about. He's a tzaddik gomer, right? I'm sure he ran as fast as he could to get the guy food. So what's he punished for? He's honest. Now, he thought like this. So now we have to go into another Gemara Makis. And Gemara Makis says that the Torah, David HaMelech saw that the Torah of 613 mitzvahs was too much for everybody. So he set up 11 general rules, 11 clothing. But Yeshaya made it 6. What's his name? Chaya made it 3. Yeshaya again made it 2. Habakkuk made it 1. We have less mitzvahs? No, we have the same amount of mitzvahs. But instead of preaching them to study the mitzvah, no. Now most people, even though it's in David HaMelech's time, and most people in that time, they knew they understand that time. Rabbeinu Young, I think, they asked the question, he says, how come we find no Savo in Weeks Shiur? Like Gemara, stuff like that, Mishnayos. Well, why wasn't anything written? Because everybody knew everything. It's only by Sheni that they needed it. In Weeks Shiur, everybody knew everything. So then it was not necessary. You didn't have to write anything. So we're talking about such a time. But after it came, there's a difference of learning all his mitzvahs and his mitzvahs, especially this point. So Nochamish Gamzu felt he was a person that could learn all his mitzvahs. But he learned mitzvahs. He did Ma'u Racham Afat Racham. If he would have studied hunger, he would have realized there's a hunger that a person can stand in front of you, and in 2 minutes, people now will be dead. I would expect the guy that's starving to be on the floor. He has no energy, he has no this and that. No, it doesn't work that way. And stuff like that. He would have understood it. He didn't study it. So therefore, if he would have studied it, he would have had a candy bar right by him and the thing. Maybe a guy is going to ask me for food. I give him that, and he gets sugar right away into his body. He has thing, then I can get a regular meal. But I have to get him something into his kishkish first, this stuff like that. But you didn't have it ready. You had to go get it. And go get it, the guy died in between them. That's why I said I didn't have a chmas. That's the point between kol mitzvahs and mitzvahs. Okay. And therefore, kol mitzvahs is no one died, because you were always ready for them. But mitzvahs would be died. Okay, that's the thing though. Okay. Then they ask you to translate the Torah to all 70 of the Shemis and the thing there. Now this is something I once saw in an anthropology book. I didn't read it, but I once saw an anthropology book. And you picked up the particular issue I saw where it had pictures of different people, you know. And because of that, I counted them, and it's like 70. So right now, how many nations you have? 200 and something in the UN. That's not nations. They're halokim of nations. The Arabs have 10 nations, maybe, right? But there's only one nation, Yishmael. Okay, the others are all. So you have, but Yishmael looks like Avram, or a blend of Avram. He's not thinking. You have 70, no, what do you mean 70? Okay? A pygmy. You know what a pygmy is? A lot of guys don't know what they are. Pygmies are guys in Africa, there's a tribe called pygmies, they're about this big. That's all they are. Then you got the Zulus. They're the basketball players. Right? They're 6 footers, 7 footers. Right? That's not normal. Right? It's about 7 footers. Are there any vice of nation like that? I have no idea. I don't think so. They have the biggest and the smallest. They have others also. And you have the West Africans and this thing, you have different kinds of people. Then you have got people called Lets. That's Lithuanians, what do you call it, in the Baltic countries, called Lets. They're square-faced, what do you call it? Then you have Irish. Now you can tell an Irishman when you see an Irishman. I would think so anyway, right? So you can tell an Irishman, okay? And you can tell a blonde, you can tell a Danish, right? They're white skinned, you can tell who they are. These are all different nations we have. And they're the thing that now they either married and this and that and whatever it is, and you have breakups and the thing there. But you have Chinese and you have Japanese and you have Koreans and you have, what do you call it, Vietnamese and stuff like that. And then you have the brown colors, you have, what do you call it, Indians and Hindus or whatever it is, and the guys from, change the name of the country to Mera now, whatever it is, they're, and with a B, it used to be. Whatever it is, anyway, you have different countries with different things, and you have the Indians, right, the American Indian. Now, there's what we have to do. With all the things that we have is why the American Indians occupied 2 continents which the world didn't know about, right? They only come from Lahavim, right? So one guy found North and South America, right? And until 1492, they only had these people there. And why were they zeichet to that? And you didn't have them anywhere else in the world. All of them moved here. Pella. I haven't figured it out yet, but that's the thing. How did it happen? If you find a good place, so everybody comes. You know? If it's not a good place, nobody comes. I mean, why do you come? Everybody, all the Redskins are here. Okay. But anyway, so you had all these different types of people. So there's also Shivim Lashonis. Now, we got more languages now, and what we call Romantic languages, coming from Roman, from Latin, and that's English, French, German, all other Latin countries all speak the chalokim of Latin. You know, or they bastardized itself. That became Mishune, you know, with idioms and slang and this and that, became different languages. But Emerson, it was one language called Latin. Latin is a thing. It was a language. Greek is a language. French is a language, maybe. I don't know if French is a language, maybe not. I don't think so. But Greek is a language. Chinese is a language. Japanese is a language. These are languages. So also have only 70 languages. You don't have Hebrew is a language. Okay. Then, so you had to write the Torah in all 70 languages. If you would have those stones, then we can translate the Torah in all languages, and it would be all good to learn Kriyas Torah from. But since the only ones that we know is Greek, so therefore it's only Greek is mutter. And I think go there because the 72 Chachamim translated, but they made 15 changes. Okay. Then he said you make a bunch of staying there. Shadow is where Levi was, because they put him in the middle, and then it also has Levi turning its face toward the side, and that you find Yeshua. And the Gemara talks about it. There's different thoughts of where was actually Levi. I mean, that's not negated for us. I mean. But somehow they were split. And he put Shimon on the only two of Leah's kids that are the Klola is Reuven and Zvulun, and the four Shvoches, 6, and that's what you have. All the rest of them, Yosef, Yamin, and the 6, and the 4. What do you call it? That are left. They're on. The 6. They're on what do you call it? They're on the brachas. And if you count the oros, there's one short. There's 11 only. Now, why is there 11? Because in Zoisa bracha, we will not find the bracha to Shimon. Now, whatever, it's hard to say he was angry. Who was he angry on? Moshe Rabbeinu, on Shimon. The ones that were left were all tzaddikim, right? The ones that would kill were Rishoyim. So what are you angry at them for? Except that the fact that they were not a shalom dik shevet. They only had 22,000 something, 700. So the second counting from 58,000 means that we're going to have another counting, another chalukas ha'oretz, lost lobby. Why? Because they're not going to get the fair share of their land. They're supposed to be the third largest shevet. And the biggest is Yehuda, then Dan, and then Shimon. So So he should have been the third largest Shevet. He's supposed to have a lot of land. But you can give them the land only for what they had when they came into the soil, so they only got a little piece of land. And that little piece of land is not enough, so we have to give them again. If that's the case, the Beis HaMikdash has to be destroyed. Moshe can't come into Eretz Yisrael, because if Moshe comes into Eretz Yisrael, the Beis HaMikdash can't be destroyed, and stuff like that. So therefore, the whole world is only because of Shimon. So I don't think we can say he's angry at them as much as he's upset that because of them, we're not going to have a good thing. Okay? So that's the way it is. He says, here's the thing. So because of that, he didn't give an oral connected them either. So there's no oral for them. Okay, and then he seems to say there's 11 things that we're cursing out. Well, these Averas are worse than other Averas. I don't know. Have to see what they are. But I think it's an attitude. I don't know if I'll remember all the attitudes that we have, but it's an attitude of how you do the Avera. It's not the Avera itself. So the first one is, all Risha shows the Pesach Masecha. He makes a getchke and he puts it Baseisa. What's the difference? He hides it and how he hides it. So we learn now in the time of Yeshua, when he was able to get rid of all of the Zorah and stuff, so they used to have inspections go on to the houses. So they put the Abed Zorah and scratched into the door, so when they opened the door, to come into the house, they won't find anything, right? Because the door is against the wall. So you're not going to find anything. It's behind the doors. Because that Yeshua made his mistake of fighting Parshas Levoi, the Chai, and whatever it is. Okay. So somehow, but when you do it in secret, we can't even give you Musa. A guy doesn't have Avera in public. Okay, so you can talk to him. You don't have something to say, but if he does it in secret, how are you going to talk to him? There's nothing to talk to him about. Nobody to straighten them out. There's nothing to do there. So it makes us less effective to him. Okay, maybe that's a so. A guy then, Maklov Avima, he shames like his father and his mother. Now that's more of a case of like he's not, no hakos hatayv like. Now you don't feel like Domer ben Nesina. He was a goy. Right? But when his mother beat him up, his mother was one mice was he lost the money to sell for the stone, because the keys were where his father was sleeping, and then his little mice that was kibbut, and what about what do you call it? The Yira is that his mother came in. He was sitting being a daily Rome, and she kept beating him on his head because she was crazy. And she kept him on her head, and he didn't chop her. He took it. Now, of course, we react to parents, so it's felt of course. Guy moves the Gvur Yehu. Okay, maybe you'll see it's not Nikel the Gezel. Let's say, for instance, we have it here sometimes. Baruch Hashem, I hope it's, they don't go around the back and check, but there's fences between the other people's properties and our property. Some knock the fence down and move the fence. Right? Now, the law is, if they do it for a certain amount of years, it becomes their land. You can steal land from people. That's why they usually put a white line or something. So the point was to have either a sign or something there. I don't think it's ever there. So maybe they did it once, but it's not there now. I don't think so anyway. But this is the thing that why do you have to have a new, what do they call it, where they measure the land? Surveying, right. You always have, whenever you make a building or something, you have to survey the whole property. Why are we surveying the property for? Right? And when I surveyed it 5 years ago, I had 6 more feet than I have now. But it's missing 3. I have no idea what 6 feet to a little big piece of land like that. Who cares, right? Okay, so it's able to steal it. And the guy don't even know it's being stolen from him. Okay, that's one way of stealing. Okay. Again, I think maybe we have it. We had it once done to one of our talmidim. He had a Savo store. I'm sorry, he didn't have a Savo store. I'm sorry, he had a Safra store. And the guy opened up a half a block away from him a Safra store. So he went to the guy to mon him, how'd you have a chutzpah open up a Safra store? So then we saw this bull. Right, you're making a Safra store, where I have a Safra store. So the guy answered him, you're a kaifer. I did you a favor. I don't stole something from you. What's the favor? Don't you believe that the Yosef Shalodim Tzuvulay Rosh Hashanah? Of course, right? So you're going to make the same amount of money this year, right? So what difference does it make if I took away the thing? You're going to make the same money. I'm doing you a favor. Work out half as much, half as hard. So he came to ask me, is it emes? It sounds pretty stupid, right? So how can it be emes, right? So I told you, but maybe for this year, he's right. But what about next year? Okay. And then secondly, the real reason is, I saw this school, I don't want to be a Sforim store or a Judaic store. I want to be a Safra store. I want to deal with Safras. I don't want to deal with selling Sforim because I can't not making enough for the Safras. I got to sell something else in my store. And if I can't sell that, I'll sell Tefillin also. I'll sell the Tefillin bags and what do you call it, which is basically a Judaic store. It's not my job. So you're stealing from me my parnasa. You're not just stealing you. You're not stealing the money from me, but you're stealing my parnasa. I got to become a different type of businessman than I was before. And that maybe I have to even do for this year. Okay. All of us, that's what. Then a guy who misleads somebody. The mashke iva baderch. In other words, he tells the guy to go the wrong way. Where's the way to that street? Oh, go that way. I'm supposed to go that way. Okay. Or mata mishpat geyosem v'amona. The Indian of, you say, why don't you just say, no one should cheat in Amona. Why mata mishpat? Because even weak people who are afraid feel they have some kind of way of evening it out in court. If the Bezdin is against me, then you're broken completely. There's nothing they can do about it. That's the point, why that's worse than that thing. Again, he's comparing himself to his father. But that they make my father, that's his wife, big deal. That was the Nazis, really. The Nazis came around when they were winding up the Jews to send them on the trains to Auschwitz. They would come and pick up the pets, the dogs, the birds, and stuff like that. Why the ASP, not the ASPCA, the GSPCA, but that was of Germany. Now, why? Because you guys are going to get killed, what do you call it? No one's going to be able to take care of your pets anymore. So we'll take them from you. So that's what they did. But they held a pet is more kosher than a person, right? And when it's a person, a Jew, big deal. Then a dog, what's the dog about? It's an animal, squirrels eat animals. Not allowed to do that, right? That's the SPCA. So a guy who lives with a behemoth, right, says they're equal to humans. They're not equal to humans. If they're equal to humans, you can't kill a behemoth. That's what they can do, is once you kill a behemoth, you can kill people too. Because to them it's no difference. There's no difference. Okay. Then his sister, let's say, that he maybe could be, you learn out how to take him from the wrong things, the fact that Cain was allowed to live with his sister and so like that. And Hevel, so maybe it's not such a big avera, something like that. So it's a way of finding novel b'shus ha'teira. My attitude is to find out what kind of things I can make it easy. Then Chesanta, his mother-in-law, is the same thing like his father. It's might be that next situation. Someone that hit someone in secret, he can't protect himself against. Guys take sheikhad, that's another one. And someone's loyokim is livat Torah, doesn't mean a kalal, let's say the Torah, but means that what he's not out and defending the Torah, that itself is the thing you have to defend. So these are the things, so their attitudes more than specific aveiros that we're talking about. Okay, then when we spoke about the next particular what the thing there, we'll go to the teichacha. Now the teichacha is broken up into three parts. The first part is where you don't listen to do kol ha-mitzvos. We'll explain that in a minute. The second one is you don't do it b'simcha, and the third one is you don't do it b'yirah. And the only two that are actually enumerated is the one that you don't do all the mitzvahs and you don't do b'simcha. The other ones is what's not written in this book, Hitler Yimach Shema. In other words, you find plenty of things that he did. Okay. But the pasuk is very shver. That's what it says. You're not going to listen to God. Lishma lasis is called mitzvahs, to learn all, to do all of his mitzvahs. And therefore, I'm going to bring these clauses upon you. We just said, even if I don't do all the mitzvahs, I do the mitzvahs, it's also enough. Right? We said there's even schar for it. Right? So how do you tell me all of a sudden I'm going to get anshin? So obviously here I got to teach it differently. We said when we learned the Yural of Klolim, we still did 613 mitzvahs. What happened if I stopped doing 613 mitzvahs? Why? Because I don't know them. And I mean, it's like most of our people that don't know them. Even the guys that finish Shas, they don't finish the Mishnayos. So they don't know the Mishnayos. They don't know Zoyim. They don't know Tyrus. They don't know. And therefore they can't do all the mitzvahs. Can't do the mitzvahs, you get these clothes. These clothes are what we call normal life. What are they? Poorness, sickness. Nice and b'chol cancer, there's that. Everybody's sick. Everyone got tzoros. Everyone got that. Why? Because they're amaratzim, that's why. Because Klal Yisrael is a bunch of amaratzim. And we're not learning any better. And it's not, we're not fixing that. So we're going to have those clothes, unfortunately. And the thing there, okay. And this is, then comes the second madrega, which, as it's put, Tachas asher lo yavadlos Hashem Elokecha b'simcha b'teiv levav meroiv kol, then you're going to have to save your enemies and so on. That's already gullus, other things that come into us. And that's also a big anshin. No question about it. It's a level up. It's gullus already. It's things like that. You hunger to the extreme that you eat your own kids and stuff like that. Kina, in other words, when normally, supposedly, a person with his family will put himself before his kids, maybe even before his wife maybe before him. In other words, they have certain things that they love someone else more than themselves. And that's going to disappear. And it disappears not a bullet you probably can take for the other guy. To starve for the other guy, I don't know how much you can take. Understand? If you can take this one meal, maybe you can do. But actually starve, and the other one eats, I don't know if you can do that. It gets you for a while. The third madrega is Yiras Hashem. In other words, sometimes you don't do things because you love God. There's no simcha takim, what I do. But I do it anyway. So at least it's being done. If I don't do it anymore, I'm not even afraid. So therefore, that's on. And here, he doesn't even come called whatever it's not written here, you're going to have. And will become the experiments of the door. I say most orthopedic advances made after the war were all things made in the camps by Mengele and those guys, by using Jews for experiments. They would break a Jewish leg, and then they say, let's see if you can fix it. And they practice on it. And after a while, they figured out how to fix it. But they brought the guy's leg 14 times before they did that. And stuff like that. They tortured people. They killed people. That's what they did. So you're going to say, but look at how much medicine is advanced and all that. Big deal. We also made the atom bomb. Look at how much energy is advanced in that time. We don't need water, we don't need dams anymore. You can have atomic energy, and the things that you can make electricity from it. But maybe it's a gezach right there from war, right? Is it a good thing or not? That's the problem. Okay, those are the things. But one thing we learn, and that's why Eretz Yisrael does not understand Europe. It says over here. והפיצך השם אלוקיך, השם בכל העמים מקצה הארץ וקצה הארץ. I'm going to spread you out all over the world. ובעל ישום מלכים אחרים. ובגויים ההם, and in those nations, וישגיע ויהיה מנוח וכפרד וכו'. Then you're going to have fear. You go to Eretz Yisrael, I don't know if most guys who will go there just even for a week, or something, feel they're not afraid. You lose complete fear. The only thing is, you have up here to remind you you're supposed to be afraid. So that may be, if you're still logical, you may be able to protect yourself. But like this, I'm not afraid. They can't do anything to me. And I'd go down to Seoul now, no problem, no worry, no nothing. Even they killed one day, guys on the bus. Happened. That's all it is. The Israelis will still go on the bus. Can we go on the bus? But they'll go on the bus. No fear. So they couldn't understand how could a bunch of Nazis kill out 20,000 Jews in one shot. How? All you had to do was run them over. If we all charged them, they'd be all dead. Right? We lost a few. So we lose all 20,000. They didn't understand the panic. They couldn't feel it. And that's the problem. Okay, that's the thing. So therefore, the fear of Goyim is only in Chutzlah. It's not in Eretz Yisrael. It's only in Golos. It has nothing to do with if we're in Golos or not. In the Eretz Yisrael, there's no fear. But in both Teichas it says that. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Then he goes and he talks about the final Hatova, what he really did for Klal Yisrael was given to Eretz Sicha and Oig, and so on. Well, he put that, even though there's a difference between Sicha and Oig, Eretz Sicha is a Vayaldi, meaning that's not part of Eretz Yisrael. That's something that the Yidden took by themselves. It's called the Yerushalmi. They took by themselves because they asked for it. Oig, on the other hand, is part of Eretz Yisrael, but it's also Leva Yadi. But both of them are not Eretz Oras Chol V'Levosh. That the Yerushalmi comes out. Okay. And it says, Yishbat, V'anikach es Artzom, we took their land, V'anitna l'gunach lo l'Reuven, we gave it for Nachal, for Reuven, God. So it seems that we gave it. So how does the Gemara say they took it by themselves? Right? It means we gave it. That's, of course we gave it. So if Beisham said no, it would be no. But you put the Beisham in a position where you can't say no, that means you took it yourself. Abadi, he can't ask you for a cookie from that Nasudish Mislapekas Labayim. Right? I can't say no. So he's a gazel. What do you can't say no? Say no. Right? I can't be a bad guy, I can't be a bad kid. So therefore you can't say, no, you're a gazel if you take from the guy. Because I'm making him do something he doesn't want to do. That's what a gazel is. That's in anything. So when you ask people to make phone calls for you, do things for you, they have to understand what you're asking. If I'm asking, I just want to, the person doesn't understand who I am. So please do me a favor, call him, I'm a great guy. Okay. You call him because he can't say no to you, that's also. I think I can go. No, call him because...
What about Fitzstucker? Fitzstucker.
Fitzstucker is also 100%. If you tell the Rav your Rosh Hashiva, you call because we can't say no to. It's like gazel. If he doesn't want to give it. If he wants to give it, so anybody, Joe Volker calls him. Now, it could be a guy by nature is going to be more, I guess, giving when the Shiva we're both going to get, right? He'll get 10,000, he'll get 20,000, right? So that's already because he wants to show off. But again, he wants to give already. But where the guy doesn't want to give, but just I can't tear you down. That's what you're talking about. That's what you're asking me to do. Because he can't turn me down. If you're saying, you'll ask you, he'll give, it gives him more cover. So because you're giving him more cover, they'll give you more money. Okay, so I'm giving him more cover. But you're saying because he can't turn you down, so therefore you're telling me I'm a gazel. I'm taking something from him that doesn't want to get me.
And if he could say no, he's pressured. He could say no, but
he can't say no. If you say please, you can't say no. We all know that. So maybe it's also to say please. And that's not here. That's in Parshas not in Matis, where over there I show that it's broken up into the conversation between Reuven and God is broken up into three parts with samachs, and there where it's really one conversation. Why are you breaking it up? Because there's what he should have said, what they did say, and what was Moshe was choshev them. There were three different parts over there. Moshe shouldn't have been choshev them. They shouldn't have been no point to what they should have said. And we have our good and Shabbos, everybody. We still be on next week.